Hope is not a strategy. Hi everyone, this is Paul Cooper, the host of the Take Note podcast. And on this episode, we're going to cover a few actionable things you can do to try to source more non-performing notes right now. I'd like to talk about the economy, but I think there's a lot going on, and that would make this episode way too long and should probably be an episode all on itself. So this episode's mainly going to focus on how you could try to find more sources right now for non-performing notes. And I absolutely believe that non-performing notes are the way to go right now, with so many people starting to default and just a paycheck or two away from defaulting, especially when all programs they have going on right now dry up and people have to permanently fire or furlough people. But anyways, we're going to start off with DataTree, which is a subscription-based service. You saw me use this in a previous episode. You do not have to use this service. It is kind of expensive, they'll definitely talk you into something that's more than you need. And I've got a few other ways that you can do it. It's just that DataTree is a pretty easy way to find stuff. So what you can do is, if you know someone who's having a lot of foreclosures or selling notes, you can actually search by owner and type that in the state or zip code or county, wherever they're at, and find more that way. But if you don't, what you can do is you can find assets in whatever area you're looking at through here by looking at defaults, REO sales, short sales, and foreclosures, and then find out who the lien holder is and then search for more that way, especially with REOs, because now it's actually owned by the bank. So let's check out this asset right here. So Oakwood Holding LLC currently has this building, or this home, and it's a foreclosure. So we could try to order the foreclosure report, but for whatever reason, DataTree doesn't have a very good setup with the county of Pueblo. But what we could do here is look for more that's owned by this owner. So what we do is we type in Oakwood Holding LLC. And then we'll just try to leave the state and zip code and county blank and see what happens. And this could take a while. Sometimes these really broad searches can take a few minutes. And here we go. Here's a view of the entire United States and what Oakwood Holdings LLC has. So we've got, says it's found 31 results. We can look at the map here. They're kind of spread out throughout the US. And then you could go through that way and see all the stuff that they've had for sale. Now, this is an interesting one. Beverly Hills sold for $6,750,000. That's an interesting one. But this is a way that you could try to find people that may have CFDs, mortgages, and, some type of note that they may be looking to sell. Or maybe they don't sell notes. Maybe they're buyers. So maybe you'd reach out to these people and see if they'd be willing to buy your notes if you have some non-performers or performing notes you're looking to liquidate. So there's good ways you could build relationships there, depending on your size and the size of the company you're reaching out to. And maybe one of those things that you work together and start taking down bigger portfolios of notes. And so you get a little bit of a symbiotic relationship that way. All right, so the second strategy we're going to go over on how to find some non-performing notes is going to the county trustee site, or whatever part of the county handles the foreclosures for that county. And then you want to find some of the properties that either have foreclosed recently or are in the process of foreclosing. And so now we see these properties and we see who the beneficiaries are. And if this looks familiar, it's because we did on a previous episode. So what you want to do is go view the details. On this one, this looks like it was a private loan because it has this guy's name in there. So you could try to find this person or the company or whoever is the beneficiary and owns the note and reach out to them. But that doesn't really give us much to go on just this name, right? But on the Pueblo County Trustee website, what you need to do is go to the print detail info. And so here's a lot more information. And again, this is same stuff as a previous episode that we were going over, giving all the loan details. So what you'd want to look at here is the attorney details. So it gives the attorney for the beneficiary, has the attorney file number, and the attorney's address, and the attorney's phone number. This is the info that we want. And so what you would want to do is reach out to the law firm or attorney or whoever's information you can get from the attorney details and ask them about it. you'd give them a call. You could try doing email first, reaching out on LinkedIn. But I think calling's probably the way to go, because especially if you want this asset, because it could be time sensitive. And so you would just call, introduce yourself, and let them know that you saw that there's a foreclosure on this address, and that you're a professional, note investor and real estate investor. You could give them your information, your website and stuff like that, so they could go see, that you're legit and that maybe you've been doing it for a while. And you could ask them, is this lender looking to sell this loan or any other loans or these properties if they become REOs? Because you'd be interested in buying them. And if they do sell them, then obviously you would be willing to keep everything in-house with that attorney that they're currently handling. And anything else that the attorney could handle, you would be willing to give it to him. So this attorney's local here in Pueblo, so they probably only do Colorado, and they may only do Southern Colorado. But some of these bigger law firms that you'd see up in Denver, they may cover several states and be like, look, everything I buy from you, I'm obviously going to keep in-house. And then what states are you in? Because I'm always looking for good attorneys in states that I cover. And if you cover other states, then I would have you handle my legal stuff there, because, they always want to know what's in it for them. Why would they just throw you business if it's going to potentially hurt them and not do anything for them? So you want to reassure them that, one, you're a professional, and then two, it's going to be in their benefit to reach out to these lenders and have them sell to you before the foreclosure is done, because you're just going to keep everything with them. And so this can be a really, really good source for notes. The likelihood of you getting the specific deal from the trustee's site this way probably isn't too high, depending on how long the foreclosure timeline's out. If it's still 9+ months away, then maybe they're looking to sell. But if it's a couple months away, if they're going to sell it to you, they're probably going to want close to the unpaid balance, because they're looking at getting the property back. And while it's a hassle for them to get the property back, they're not going to sell it for 50% of the unpaid balance or less if they're going to get the property here in a couple months and can potentially sell it for a lot more. But yeah, like some states that are backed up, and if it's a lower value property and they're looking at 9 months to a year before they're going to get it, then you could probably still get a good discount. But this is a nice in to reaching out to people that have assets and notes for sale, because maybe they're not going to sell you this one, but like, hey, we're not interested in selling you that one. We're just going to take it back. But you said you were interested in other stuff. What states, are you looking at? Because we're in these states and we've got a lot of other non-performing notes that we'd be looking to sell that we haven't even started foreclosure on. Or, do you buy stuff that's in bankruptcy and things like that? And you could potentially get a really good source. These law firms can be great sources for non-performing note sellers, because that's what they do, is they handle the foreclosures. So they deal with people all the time that have non-performing notes. But you got to make sure that you let them know that, one, you're a professional, and then two, you're going to be scratching their back, because they don't want to just sell non-performing notes, and then if they never get any action from it, then they kind of messed up. So you want to be professional and let them know that you want a symbiotic relationship. You're going to use them for stuff they already have, and any other states that they cover, you would have them handle your borrower outreach or foreclosure, any of your legal stuff there that you would need an attorney to handle. So again, really good source. This next website and tool that we're going to cover is called NetR Online. I haven't discussed this in any of our podcast episodes yet, so that's the first time for this, but I have done some videos utilizing NetR Online on our YouTube channel for Totes and Notes, so you may want to look at that. They're a little bit older, but really NetR Online hasn't changed. And it's just like it sounds. It's the word net, the letter R, the word online.com. And the reason you want to use this website is because it's a free resource to quickly find state and local government buildings and departments and their contact information. So as opposed to trying to find, who handles the Pueblo County foreclosures? Because each state and county, they have different names for it. Or like, some states, the assessor handles all the taxes. Other states, it's the treasurer. Other states, it's the tax collector. And so a lot of these, they all handle the same stuff, but the departments are named differently. And so it can be hard to find. So unless you know specifically what you're looking for, you can come here and find the departments by state and county. And so what you do is you click Pueblo Records Online, Public Records Online, And then they've got this map here. So you can click on the state, and that's a good way if you don't know the county or if you do know the county, you can find a list of them. Or what you do is you can go here and type in the county converter. So 81005, it's the zip code for Pueblo County. And look, it brings up the assessor's office, the recorder's office, the treasurer, the mapping GIS, and the trustee foreclosure. And it has links to their websites, which are really nice because most states and counties are moving to website data. And then it also has their phone numbers all in one spot. So really, really nice. And so we could then go to the public trustee website that we were already at, or we could go to the assessor or the treasurer's website. So now we're at the treasurer's website, and it seems like everyone's got COVID information, delayed access, rules to going in, things like that. So that's all kinds of fun. But it has different departments, and most of these websites are similar, but they're all a little bit different. So sometimes you really have to spend some time on them to find the data and things that you're looking for. So we're going to see what we would need to do to find data on real estate taxes, potentially delinquent taxes, or just how we would pull up the taxes for a certain property. So you can do the pay my taxes online, and then you could type in the address of the property. And this is pretty standard for each website. I will say this, though, they can be a little pain in the butt to find because some websites will want you to put the numbers in one line and then the street in another line. And some of them will want the street suffix and some of them won't want the street suffix. Some of them will want the direction. Some won't want the direction. Some of them want the parcel or APN number. So then you got to go to a different site to look that up to put it in. So some of them can be very difficult, and they don't always tell you exactly the format that they want. So what I usually do is I put in all the information I have, and then I delete stuff out from there if it doesn't find it. So I just put in the address for the property that we used to rent here in Pueblo before we bought our home. So let's see if we can find it. So as we see here, it can't find it, and it's saying that it could possibly be because that they don't have taxes due or they have less than half of the taxes due. So we couldn't find it. So let's go back and see if we can find something else. Here's a nice little tab here, find all county-held properties. Now, some of these could be government buildings, and then a lot of them will also be buildings and assets that have been taken back due to not paying their taxes. And this is generally what you'd see a lot in different newspapers when they do their taxes for the year and they print it out. This is like the notification that you get. It's not very easy to read. It's, got the legal description and a bunch of other stuff and the amount of taxes usually that's owed. And so you got to spend some time learning how to read these. But if you're willing to go through the trouble, you can find properties fairly cheaply that way. You're not always going to get the property. A lot of the time, if it's not actually held by the county, then you're buying the lien, and so it could take several years before you could qualify to get that property. More than likely, it's going to pay off, and you're just going to get that money plus your interest back. I did a little bit more digging here, and Pueblo's similar to a lot of other counties where if you do the pay my property taxes online, it's different than just doing a property search. Sometimes it's all one, sometimes they're different. In this case, it's different. So I wasn't able to find the rental this way because they didn't owe taxes. But if you go up to properties and land, hit I agree, and it's basically identical to the previous fields that we're filling out. And so we're going to search for the property as opposed to just searching for the taxes. And here we go. So it's got our parcel number, the owner's names. It's got the street address. You can look it up on the GSI map. You can pull up zoning. And these are pretty straightforward and similar to most websites that have this information. So we're able to pull this up. We can download the tax notice, look at different notice evaluations, see the taxes that are pulled up. And you should be able to do this everywhere because this is public knowledge, all the tax information. So you can really do a lot of research on these public websites if you're willing to spend the time and figure out how the different websites work. And so here we can view the property tax history. And it looks like, so they've got this year's taxes due and they've paid everything else. So that covers the treasurer's website, but that's really not necessarily the greatest way to find assets and people that you'd want to reach out to inquire if they had different notes for sale, but it is a good information research tool. The Assessors Site is generally the one you'd probably want to use if you're trying to find different assets and movers and shakers, people that are involved in the business that may have stuff for sale or would be willing to buy stuff. And unfortunately, the Assessor's website just takes us to the search for property that we were already at. So that doesn't help us too much. We could probably try some of this other stuff and see what we can find. So if that's the case, what you want to do is go to the recorder's office for that county. Now, unfortunately, some websites, you've got to become a member. They may charge you small fees for looking stuff up. A lot of them, you don't even have to create an account. But we'll go ahead and create an account because it doesn't look like it's going to cost us anything. And here we go. Unfortunately, Pueblo County charges us a subscription fee to use the recorder's website. I'm not going to do this today just because I don't want to spend money just for a demonstration. But if you knew there was a certain county that you wanted to invest in and had stuff, then it's absolutely worth it to pay the money. But we'll try going to a different county. So we're going to go to a county in Florida called Orange County. And that should be either Disney World or right around the Disney World area. And they have just tons of sales each year. So there'll be a lot of information for us to find. So here's the recorder's office. Accept. And so the recorder's office records just an insane amount of different types of transactions and documents. So you don't want to just search a blanket search because you'll never find anything you want. And another nice thing about the Orange County website is they do have a how to search for document video tutorial, which is really nice. So here's what we could do. We could search for different parties. So if you knew someone did a lot of note sales and buying and you wanted to just see what they had in the county, then this would be a way to do it for free because you could then put their name in and put some recording dates and see, what type of business they've done since then. But really what we want to do is we want to look for specific types of documents. So we had to uncheck this box here, and now it gives us all the different document types that we could look for. Agreement for deed, that's probably a good one to look for. Deed mortgage, that's a good one. Mortgage, that's a good one. Probate court paper could be interesting if you're trying to find homes that were in probate and people that were just recently deceased, and you could reach out to their families and try to buy homes that are possibly in pretty good condition and just get a little bit of money. That way, you're going to have to go through probate and things like that. But it could be a potentially good way to get properties that aren't listed yet at a small discount because you're basically coming in and offering the family money straight up. And then so as soon as they're done through probate, they just go ahead and sell it to you and they know they got that offer taken care of. So I think this is all we're going to look for. We're going to do agreement for deed, deed mortgage, and mortgage. And we're going to put in some starting dates and end dates. So we're going to start January 2020 and we're going to do, we'll do until June. So we'll just see what's been happening in the past few months. All right, so if you can see here, I wasn't kidding when I said Orange County, Florida has a ton of transactions. So we had over 50,000 transactions, but we can only have 10,000 at a time. So what we could do is we could either drop one of these or we can just do the dates and narrow that down. So I think that's what we'll do. We'll go up to March 1st and see how much that narrows it down. That cut it in roughly half, so I guess we're going to have to do it again. We'll just do May 1st to June 1st, so really just a month. Let's see what that gets us. Here we go. That still got us over 7,000 different items to look at. So we got the mortgage, we got MERS here, which is a system for that mortgage companies use to keep track of everything. And so the grantee is going to be the bank or note holder, and the grantor is going to be the owner of the property. So what you could do right here is you see all these banks that are doing business in the area. So that means that they at least have notes in the area. It doesn't really tell you the health of their loan portfolio. It doesn't tell you just by looking at this if they have a bunch of non-performing stuff or not. But when you see these big banks, you don't quite know. But what you want to look for is see if you can find some banks or holding companies that you haven't heard of, if they keep coming up, then those are probably players in the secondary market. So let's see what we can find here. This one's interesting. It's on MERS, but it's Park Square Home Mortgage LLC. I have no idea if they're big or not. I've never heard of them, but they're definitely not a top 10 bank, so you could potentially reach out to them. They might be a good one to reach out to and see if they have anything for sale, or if they would keep your stuff on, keep your contact information on file until they do. The interesting thing that I'm seeing here is, one, Orange County is an area that's got money and they do a lot of transactions, but, the economy is not doing that well right now. But look at how much the banks are lending, because these recording dates are the 1st of May. We were well into having the economy hurt in May, so this is this past month, and they're still making mortgages like crazy. So don't let anyone tell you that there's not plenty of inventory coming and on the way, because the banks are still lending. We've talked about it in the past, how there's still a lot of it's not non-prime anymore, it's subprime loans, which is, just a new word for garbage most of the time. Here we go. Flex Collection LLC. Let's see what this is all about. So this was a mortgage recorded on the 1st of May. And so it looks like they made a loan to Kristen Nicole here and David Allen Schmidt. And it's from Flex Collection LLC. And this is cool because we can actually look up and view the images of the documents. Not every website has this. A lot of them do. And then a lot of them will make you pay. Like, they'll let you look at like one page. And then if you want to view all the pages, they let you download them and then you can print them off. And it's, like 10 cents or more a page. So it's just a short 2-page, really, really basic mortgage, and you can see that the amount here is only for $14,000. So either it's a really cheap property, maybe vacant land, or maybe they got a really small cash out refinance or something. But pretty small loan. I've never heard of this company before, and they might be worth reaching out to, because $14,000 is a really small loan. Most places aren't going to do a loan that small, because they're not going to make much money off of it. They're going to only make a little bit off origination fee, but then they basically have to keep that loan, because if they go sell a loan this small on the secondary market, no one's either going to buy it, or they're going to have to sell it at such a steep discount that it's not going to be worth it. So they would, in this case, I bet these people keep their loans on file just because it's so small. And then look, the payoff date is March 15th, 2030. So, and this was made in February. So it's basically a 10-year note. I bet they keep this one for themselves. All right. So I'm not seeing the contact information for the company, but there is good information here. And this actually leads me into the next and final strategy to find people that are selling non-performing notes. It says Vacation Title Services. That's who it was prepared by, and returned to First American Title Insurance Company. So title companies and title insurance companies, they're the same basically. These companies absolutely know who does a lot of notes and who might be interested in selling. And so again, it's just like the attorneys. You're going to reach out to title companies, try to actually talk to someone on the phone, explain to them who you are, what you do, that you're a note buyer, and that you're looking for people that have non-performing notes and might be looking to sell, and if they would introduce you to them. And then you also let them know that, hey, look, any business that you can, we will throw it your way. So if you can do escrow there and help us close on new assets that we acquire or sell, then we would love to keep you guys and have you handle that for us, or any other title work. You're not always going to be able to throw them necessarily a lot of business. So you don't want to lie and say, oh, I'm going to be throwing thousands of dollars of business your month, but just tell them, look, these are the states we usually buy in. If you can handle us closing deals in those states and counties, we would love to have you handle that. And do you do escrow services? And are you guys, and do you guys have escrow insurance? Because we're always happy to use professionals like that to make sure transactions go through and no one's ripped off. And you can do that, and you could potentially get a lot more sources that you wouldn't normally get just through traditional means by reaching out blindly to people on Facebook or LinkedIn. And if you can have someone introduce you to the sellers, that's a warm contact now, or it's certainly much warmer than just sending a random email message or cold call where they don't have any idea who you are. Now you're getting introduction, and it's more likely that it's going to be listened to, and you're going to be given the time of day. It's still a numbers game. The saying is you're always 2,000 phone calls away from greatness and closing on a deal or whatever, no matter what your business is. And you shouldn't take 2,000 if you're using these strategies, but it could still take you dozens, if not hundreds. You could spend several days, but these are going to be pretty good sources of finding notes. And the thing is the companies that handle this, the title companies and the attorneys, they're generally dealing with people and companies that do a lot of transactions. So it's not like you necessarily need to get a dozen new sources. One or two new sources could potentially flood your business with more potential assets than you could even handle. Hi everyone, I got distracted looking at that last group and then started talking about title companies, and we didn't finish what I originally started. So we found out that there was that Flex company, Sheridan Flex Vacations, and the other one we looked at was Flex Collection LLC. So what we're going to actually do now is search for these company names just to see how many assets they might have in the Orlando area. So we're going to do a name search. We're going to do exact match first and see what that brings up. And here we go. 429 items. So I'd never heard of Flex Collection LLC, but obviously they're getting some stuff done. So they may be kind of a local regional player and someone that you might want to look up, do some Google searching, and especially look at LinkedIn and see what they got. The other one was Vacation or Sheridan Flex Vacations. So let's see what that one brings up. Again, even more, 2,626 items. Another company that probably specializes in the area. I'm just guessing, but they could do a lot of, they're probably vacation homes, secondary homes. Maybe that's what they specialize in. Since these don't seem to be companies, if this was like one company's name, then I would almost say maybe it was timeshares that they did lending on. But I bet what it is, it's probably a company that specializes in secondary and vacation homes. And that's what they do. And that would make sense for the Orlando area because that's big business down there. That was ultimately what I meant to do before I got sidetracked talking about title companies. But yeah, so hopefully that illustrates you can try to find some names that you're not super familiar with in the area and then look it up. And if they only have like one, then maybe you're not going to reach out to them. But maybe if they have, 10 or a dozen, you're like, okay, that's a smaller player that probably does the exact same stuff that, I either do or I'm looking to do. Let's reach out to them and see if they have anything for sale or if they'd at least buy stuff or if there's anything we can team up on and take down together and divide up. I hope you learned something from this. This is just, some actionable ways that you can find information and hopefully find new sources that can provide your business with non-performing notes and other notes that aren't going to be the low-hanging fruit. They're not going to be necessarily the same usual suspects in hedge funds that sell out the same stuff to everyone else. Because I've talked about it a lot this last year, 2019. And most of 2018, there wasn't a lot of good stuff in the way of non-performing notes for sale. It was all the same recycled garbage, and it was overpriced, and it all came from the same few hedge funds. And so that's why we mainly focused on performing notes, because they barely cost more than the non-performing, and were generally going to be significantly less risky and still provide good yields. So it just did not make sense last year and the year before to buy a whole lot of non-performing notes. You had to be really choosy. But with these assets, you're getting stuff directly from the people that made the notes. And they're not these hedge funds that just have a bunch of skeletons that they're trying to rip people off with. You're going to get fresher stuff. And you're probably going to have to buy more expensive assets, and you're going to probably have to buy pools, but that should get you bigger pricing or better pricing anyways. And that's ultimately what you want to be doing with your business. Now, if you're a smaller investor and you're only doing it for like your retirement portfolio, then it may not make sense. But here's the deal. Let's say you find someone and they're like, hey, we're only interested in selling small pools of $500,000 or 10 assets at a time or more. And you're like, well, I can't do that. That doesn't necessarily mean you can't do it. So what you do is you tell them, thanks, and then you'd reach out to someone like me, reach out to other real estate groups, find other note investors, because you don't necessarily have to buy $500,000 at once or 10 assets at once. Maybe you can only get 1 or 2, but if you can bring that deal to other people, now you guys can be getting assets that you normally wouldn't be able to and get better pricing, and now you're working together and everyone's winning. So keep that in mind. If you have any questions about this, don't hesitate to reach out to me. I hope it was very beneficial to you, and I appreciate you all listening in, and we'll have more coming to you soon.